Morning, everybody.
Morning, everyone.
It's Nitro and Brat.
It's cold.
It's cold.
It's really cold. It's negative 38 here.
Negative 38 degrees, everybody. So, everybody, I'm Nitro.
And I'm Brat.
And I'm Brat. She's a Brat. Actually, I'm Steve, and this is Maureen. So, we wanted to jump on and tell you all about what's been going on. It's just been cold as
I'll get up and go.
Shark outside.
Yeah.
So, we live in a small town in Missouri, less than around 2,200 people. We live in Coke, Missouri. We moved here 3 years ago to buy this old farmhouse, rebuild it, and that's where we're going to live out our days. So we're going to jump back to about 2015, 16. We were living in Colorado Springs, just off Fort Carson, and I was in a journey of trying to get a weight loss surgery. So at the time, I was pushing 325 pounds, and I was on my last step of right before bariatric surgery, and we found out I had cancer. So I had aggressive prostate cancer, which was pretty bad. They wanted to do immediate surgery, followed up by chemo and radiation. So I had to cancel my weight loss journey, get all prepped for surgery, and got prepped for surgery. They did the it's a big spider that sits on your body.
It was the Da Vinci robotic.
The Da Vinci machine. So
basically, the doctor was playing video games
inside my stomach.
Is the way he put it.
So they did that surgery. And then I wound up having a broken neck surgery not long after that, where they went in and fused a bunch of bones, and I got my neck and back is still broken. It's still messed up. So me and her down here in Missouri. But anyway, my cancer journey, found out I had cancer, went and had the surgery. They wanted to follow up with chemo and radiation. I denied it. And I started searching for metabolic reasons of why I wound up with cancer and how to fight it. So in my research, and this is 2015, 2016.
Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there. I researched, I found Dr. Thomas Seyfried. He's a professor, and he's been studying how to fight cancer for a really long time. I think he's probably 15 to 20 years into it, and how to fight it. The problem is he can't convince the Cancer Society that cancer is not a genetic disease, it's a metabolic disease. So after hours and hours and hours of watching Dr. Seyfried's videos and studying him, then I discovered Jason Fung, and he wrote the book Cancer Code. Right after my surgery, I spent 3 months because my doctor's like, okay, you've had your surgery. I want to see you again in 3 months. So I told him, I said, I've been doing some research on the metabolic in cancer and stuff, and I wanted to do some fasting. And he said, and I told him I was going to, right off the bat, I was going to do a 10-day fast. And he's like, oh, no, that's dangerous. You can't do that. I said, well, no matter what you say, I'm going to try this metabolic therapy to try to help me from having to go through chemo and radiation. So with that, he said, well, Steve, promise me one thing. You won't go over 5 days. You won't go over a week without eating something. And at the time, I was still 325 pounds. Now, I don't want to get you wrong, everybody. I was going, before all this happened, I was still going to the gym every day. We had a gym 2 blocks from my house, 24-hour fitness. And I battled it for 3 or 4 years there. I'd go to the gym every day and I'd work out for 45 minutes in the gym. And then I'd go in and I'd go and sit in the steam room and set an air for 15 or 20 minutes at 140, 150 degrees and sweat. Then I'd get out and shower and I'd swim in. They had a Olympic-sized swimming pool. I'd do laps. Then I'd go sit in the hot tub and then I'd go take a shower and go home. And I might lose 2 or 3 pounds a week. Then, over the weekend, that 2 or 3 pounds would come back on because we weren't paying attention to our diet. But after discovering the cancer, I started changing. I started fasting. So I would fast for 5 days and then refeed just carnivore, just meat on the 6th day. And then I would fast another 5 days and then refeed just meat on the 6th day. So, but I was pre-measuring the amount of meat that I would eat. I would only eat a cup of meat on my refeed days, and then I would fast for 5 days. I would only drink water, not consuming any carbs, any sugars, water only fasting, and water only even on my refeed day. I didn't know I'm not big on bone broth and everything. So I think the biggest thing I want to tell you guys, if you're doing this, when you do refeed, you can't be within 10 foot of a bathroom because immediately it's coming out. So I do believe there's some stuff on your refeed on maybe you should start slow and do the bone broth, but I'm ornery. I'm Nitro. I do the way things the way I want to do, don't I, Mommy?
Yeah, you do.
So, I know I build motorcycles and I've ridden in clubs, and everybody calls me Nitro for a reason, everybody. So, but at that 90-day mark when I went in to see my doctor didn't even recognize me because from the date that he's seen me the last time, I was 313 pounds after the surgery. And when I went back in to see him, I was 223 pounds. So I'd lost almost 100 pounds, and he didn't even recognize me. Now, he did say out of all of his patients that ever had the cancer that bad, I was the only one that actually tried to help doing something metabolically to keep the cancer away. So living in Colorado another 2 or 3 years, I kept my cancer at bay, with every 90 days doing a checkup. Numbers would fluctuate. My prostate numbers would go up a little bit, then they drop back down, but we're talking 0.02 to 0.04 or 0.06, and then back down to 0.02. So for 3 or 4 years, the numbers fluctuated. And then Colorado got too expensive for us. We decided to move back to the Quad Cities, which is Davenport, Iowa, right? We moved back in with her parents while we tried to find a home. So we lived in Davenport, Iowa for about 2 years.
Year and a half, 2 years, yeah.
Year and a half, 2 years, helping her parents, which were in their 80s. So I took over their cable bill and I bought groceries. Oh, and believe me, there was a house full. So
Yes,
there was 6 or 7 adults and yeah,
4, 7 adults and
7 adults.
one child. Well, 2 children.
Yeah, it was pretty costly, but it took us a couple of years. We found a place. We found this cute little 100-year-old home, Sears and Roebuck home in Cahoga, Missouri. And it was turnkey enough that the house came on 3/4 of an acre with 2 outbuildings. and the house was completely falling apart. It had not seen paint in it. None of the buildings had seen paint. The one building was kind of leaning over, and it was shingles on for siding, and the doors were falling off. And the old beauty shop that was here, the lady we bought it from, her run a beauty shop. That building was like a little old pole barn type building, which was they were using as the garage and a beauty shop. We completely rebuilt both them buildings and completely redone the house. So everything looks like brand new on the outside. So while we were here, all my cancer stuff always comes back clean because I fast off and on. So, I mean, I don't want to tell everybody that, hey, I've remained carnivore, because no, I mean, we got 13, 14 grandkids.
Yeah.
So whenever a grandkid's birthday would come up, I'd have cake and ice cream with them. It's grandpa. Every once in a while I would cheat, but then I would always try to fast afterwards. And so for the last 8-9 years, I've stayed cancer free from fasting and watching everything. I mean, I still have some weight that I want to drop off, so I've been doing some hardcore fasting, but I've been working with my wife. So that's my cancer journey, and I wanted you guys to know all about my cancer journey. So after we moved in here, this is where I'm going to let my wife take over, even though she's shy and probably wants me to tell you her story. I'm going to have her tell you her story because it's her story. So I'm going to let her tell you her cancer story, and then we'll move on from there.
My medical issues started in...
Talk to the camera.
In 2009, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. My doctors, first year I was on nothing but steroids and one other thing. One other medication because I didn't have insurance. Once I got my insurance is when they started all of the biomedicines. And a lot of them didn't work. They decided they were going to put me on Cimzia. The Cimzia was causing a lot of other health issues, so I completely quit all my medications. I decided I was going to control my Crohn's by diet because at that time I knew what to eat or what not to eat. It was easier. Kept it in control with very few flare-ups for 10 years, 12 years, for quite a while.
Did really good.
In 2022, in April, we decided to go to Colorado to see our 4 grandsons. We got there. My stomach was hurting really bad. We figured it was just because of the 13-hour drive.
Which is normal. I mean, you guys, you sit in a car for 13 hours, and you eat bad food.
Yeah.
You're stopping at gas stations, Loves, and you grab a chicken sandwich, and then your body, because you're sitting in a prone position setting for that long, we thought she was having some stomach problems.
Yeah, so no big deal. We went to bed. I went and see the grandkids and then went to bed to rest up for the next day of hanging out with them guys. The next morning, got up, my stomach was still hurting, and then I started throwing up horribly, nonstop. Couldn't get it under control. So he rushed me to the hospital there in Colorado. They told me I had a blockage and that I needed to go be admitted to the hospital for surgery to get it under control. I was like, no, I'm here visiting my grandsons. Is there anything else that we could do? And I'll deal with this when I get home. We're only going to be here a few days. So they gave me an antibiotic. Yeah, they gave me an antibiotic and steroids. It would let me leave. Did really good for about a month. And then I ended up back in the emergency room here for the same thing. So they put me on antibiotics.
And I don't want to stop you, but in the middle of all this, everybody, we're rebuilding a homestead here. So as sick as she was, she's out here with one of them gas-powered fence augers, helping me drill 3-foot deep holes in the ground, planting fence poles, putting up cedar fencing, trying to get our entire 3/4 of an acre completely privacy fenced in. She's busting her butt, and then she gets real sick, and we have to call an ambulance.
Yeah, that was in May, the end of May, or the middle of May. You had to call the ambulance because, again, I was throwing up profusely.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it under control. I ended up down in Quincy in the hospital for a week for a blockage. They did CT scans and all that stuff. It said that I had a lot of scar tissue from the Crohn's. And of course, the one doctor I get for the Crohn's was a complete and utter jerk, told me this is all my fault because I wasn't on any medications. I wasn't doing everything I was supposed to be doing. He had to cancel his trip to some doctor's convention to help me.
Jerk.
Just had me in tears. So I called my family doctor. He was to the point where he was going to have me transferred to Iowa City because of what was going on. They got it under control, and because I refused surgery there because of the way they were treating me, they released me to go home after about a week. Not even 4 days after being home, outside, getting stuff done. About 4 o'clock in the morning, Memorial weekend of all weekends, it happens again. So he calls the ambulance. Ambulance takes me to Fort Madison. Fort Madison immediately shot me full of fentanyl. Put me in a plastic chair with nobody around. By the time he got there, I was throwing up everywhere, falling out of the chair. They're trying to make me drink the barium to do a CT scan, which I have not drank
she has a blockage, so she can't drink the barium for them to do a CT scan. See, y'all don't understand. I spent my whole life in a steel mill and a foundry as a millwright, but I also spent my night shift as a paramedic. So I knew, I'm like, this girl's got a blockage. She can't drink the stuff that you guys want to do the CT scan. I said, can you get her in there without the barium and do a CT scan? They said no. So I said, then I need to sign her out and take her to Iowa City. Will you guys transport her to Iowa City? They said, no. I said, well, I want to sign her out so I can transfer her to Iowa City. They brought a paper. I signed it. I asked them if they could get me a wheelchair because at this time she's on fentanyl, falling out of a freaking plastic chair. And they were like, oh, well, when you sign that paper, we're done. Find your own wheelchair. So I rushed out the emergency room, found a wheelchair, come back in, put her in the wheelchair, was wheeling her out the door, and right in the middle of where the double doors are, where you walk in and out of the emergency room, she left them a pretty nice present in the form of something projectiling out of her mouth. And I pushed her over to the car, picked her up, got her in the car. So from Fort Madison to Iowa City, I think my truck was going about as fast as it could go. And I got an F-150 King Cab, and we were flying.
I don't remember any other drive to Iowa City.
Yeah. It was funny thing was in Iowa City, I'm trying to find the emergency room, and you guys don't understand, this is the University of Iowa City, people.
It's huge.
It's huge. There's buildings everywhere. I got pulled over for doing 27 in a 25. Now, you gotta understand, I was going over 100 mile an hour all the way there. I didn't get pulled over by nobody on a 2.5 hour drive from Missouri there. But then I get there and I get pulled over for 2 over. Cop did let me go. He did help me get her out, get her in the hospital, and then made me come back to his car, check my insurance, check my license, and then was cool enough to let me go.
Yeah. So
the story goes from there.
So once inside the hospital, I mean, it was complete and utter chaos because they had gastrology there. They had just a whole team of doctors coming in and out, trying to figure out what was going on. They knew I had a blockage, so they had to, of course, put the tube down the nose. And that one for me, I fight them on that one, don't I?
Yeah.
I fight them head over heels.
Anybody getting the tube shoved down your nose. The tube going down the nose it's a nasal tube that hooks up to a vacuum. So if you guys are ever in an emergency room, you see a little clear bottle on the wall, and then it's got some numbers on it. And what that is, it's a vacuum chamber. And it's used to suck out people's stomachs from drug overdoses. Well, that tube was installed on her to suck out the stuff that was inside of her intestines, where the blockage was. And she hated it.
Oh, yeah.
And anybody that has to have it done hates it. So
they knew that because of the blockage, I was going to have to be admitted. Once they got me admitted, of course, the team of doctors were coming in and out of my room constantly. Dr. Harabe, I always mess her name up, come in and said that due to the scar tissue that I had in my stomach, she wanted to go ahead and go in and do surgery to remove the scar tissue and place a temporary ileostomy to give my stomach time to heal from just everything going on with it. Like, okay, so day after Memorial Day?
Yeah.
They did the surgery. 6 hours? 5 hours? Or 4 hours? That was the smaller surgery.
Yeah, that was a smaller one. So it was like 6-7 hours. Yeah.
As soon as I was awake and coherent enough, I knew something wasn't right by him. His demeanor, the way he was acting. I kept asking him what was wrong. You know, is this ileostomy, is it going to be a permanent thing? You know, I was just put into freak out mode. And the doctors left it up to him to tell me that why they were in there removing the scar tissue, behind the scar tissue hidden from the CT scan, they found cancer. Yeah. They found a tumor. I can't remember the size of it, but it was in a few of the lymph nodes on the rectum.
On like 7 lymph nodes. They got all the cancer out of the colon itself, but it had spread to your pelvis.
Pelvis and rectum. So...
And the bad thing is, you know, at the time, man, they tell you that, and then they're like, well, when she wakes up, you have to tell her.
Yeah. And I know that was hard for you.
Yeah. Well, it was hard for me because she always said that if she ever was in that position, that she would not, because of what she watched me go through, she wasn't going to do any kind of chemo. So I knew I was scared to death.
So the first thing out of his mouth was, now remember Layla, which is one of our granddaughters. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is bad. And then he tells me, they really didn't give me a stage or anything, just told me.
Not at that time.
I would be in the hospital about a week, and then they would get me scheduled for the oncologist and more tests. Okay. So end of June, we went to see the first oncologist.
And that's hard, because, you know, you get told you have cancer, everybody, and then they just turn you out. And like, okay, you got cancer. See you later. We'll see you in a month or two. So you're sitting home, not completely confused, completely down and out.
Yeah. It was
not knowing what's going on, how it's going to go, what's going to happen. And these videos, if you go back on our channel, you can watch all this.
Yeah.
From the day it started, you can watch me and her working, putting up the poles to build the fence. We just had brand new electric installed, $12,000 to go from the pole underground to the house, to both outbuildings. So I was building a cedar fence. Once they got done with that, they tore our entire yard up because they were in here with backhoes, to have your power. We moved in, this place had tube, the old knob and tube wiring. So we had to hire somebody to completely come in and put in all brand new wiring, everything. And then I wanted to pay the extra to have it all run underground so I didn't have to have wires come into the house. And then I had to have them run wiring to both buildings because the one building didn't have power. And I was turning that building into a workshop, so I needed it to have power. And then the old garage had power, but it was still knob and tube. So we had to redo all the buildings. And in the middle of all that,
Fighting with all of this medical
she's
stuff.
fighting with cancer, and I'm out here working, trying to rebuild the house. It was a mess.
Yeah. So at Jude, we were seeing the surgeon that did the ileostomy surgery and found the cancer. And her assistant was the one that told me that it was stage 4, but she was really snotty about it. Well, you have stage 4 cancer, and
pushed us out the door.
It was like, whoa.
I mean, we both collapsed in the elevator, just like. Then when they do something like that, man, they should have somebody to talk to you.
Yeah.
To give you some kind of clue of how things are going to go, where they're going to, not to just tell you and then shove you out the door.
And the surgeon was really apologetic on that one. So the oncologist visit, he wanted 12 rounds of chemo. And it was the 5-FU and oxyplatin and another one.
Just check, make sure the light's still
for me, so got the port put in. We decided to send me to Quincy because it was closer for us for the chemo. I did 3 treatments there. The first one went really well. The second one, I started having a little bit of a reaction with my breathing. The third treatment, I got up, almost collapsed getting up because I could barely walk. Are you okay? Do you need help getting to your car? No, I'll be fine.
Yeah, they watched her walk out to her car, collapsing and not breathing, and they just let her walk out.
I walked past nurses, doctors, security, and probably 50, 60 people, gasping for air, barely able to walk. And the whole time I'm on the phone with him, I'm like, okay, I got to get off the phone with you. I want to record this. So I recorded what I was doing, and I sent it to my oncologist in Iowa City because he was still overseeing everything. He's like, nope, you're having a severe allergic reaction to the oxyplatin. You're done there. You're coming back to Iowa City. So once I got back up there, they switched all my chemos around, and I never had any problems.
The whole, guys got to understand, the whole Quincy thing was because it was closer to her house.
Yeah.
It wasn't $100 in gas to drive for her chemo. It was only like $25. But then when I met this doctor, he was of North Korea doctor, so I knew, my dad was in the military. I grew up a military brat, and then I'm a son of a Legionnaire, so I belong to the American Legion. I'm like, okay, this doctor you have is anti-American. He has a handler. So even like people from Iran, people from Iraq, people that hate Americans still come here for their doctor degrees, and then they have to have a handler. And I didn't like this guy at all. They told me I was not allowed to disconnect her chemo because she'd have a chemo bag that she come home on with chemo. And because I was a nationally registered medic,
Iowa City
people said that, Nitro, you're good. You can go ahead and do her rinse at home and pull everything. We'll send a bucket home with you for you to put all the chemo stuff in, and then just bring that back to us and just make sure you do the flush properly and everything. And I'm like, cool. Well, this doctor wouldn't allow it. So, okay, it's costing us twice the amount of gas to go back and forth just for her to get her chemo flushed and taken off. So we were like, hey, we're spending the same amount of money just doing all this shit in Iowa City. We might as well just have everything done in Iowa City, and then I could just remove it at home myself, like Iowa City said to begin with.
Yeah, the Dr. Chow didn't like that. He wasn't listening to me down there when I kept telling him I was having an issue with my breathing.
Yeah.
So back up there, I did 5 more rounds, and the chemo really started
to shrink. No, just to shrink the tumors.
To shrink the tumors down. But my body was taking a major beating. I had lost 20 pounds by this point. I couldn't eat. So Dr. Chow brought in Dr. Shreeman, which was the oncology surgeon. So he did all of his tests, and he's like, okay, you're a really good candidate for HIPEC.
You guys got to understand, HIPEC is where it's a dangerous surgery because it's like 12 to 16 hours. They pull all your organs out of your body, and then they flush your entire inside with some of the hardest chemo drugs they have on the market. That completely not only kills the cancer, it also kills healthy cells. So she went through the HIPEC surgery. It was 15 to 16
hours that we went through.
I sat in the hospital. Luckily, we had her niece came down and took care. We have a German Shepherd and Rottweiler, so she came and took care of the dogs, so I could be with my wife at the hospital. And it was a pretty rough go, wasn't it? Baby?
Yeah, surgery went well. Got it all. They did the test, and they said you are officially no evidence detected NED. I was
NED for 9 months.
I was ecstatic at this point because he had gotten it all.
Yeah. But this is where
things get really weird, because when you come out of HIPEC, they put you in ICU for the night so that you can be watched. When they transferred me upstairs, the nurses were so chatty and so disorganized when they were transferring me from the bed.
And you're talking to somebody who used to be a paramedic, so transferring a patient from the surgical unit to ICU, okay, you got 2 people on each side of the bed. You're all supposed to grab the sheet and then go on 3, right? 1, 2, 3, everybody pick up. Everybody go over to the next bed and gently set the patient down.
That's not what happened. It was 1, 2, 3. These people on the left decided to go before the people on the right were ready, and they
dropped her on the handrail right in the center of her back.
Didn't think anything of it. Was doing really good, but I ended up starting to have some really bad tailbone pain. Yeah. And I kept telling them, my tailbone hurts. Well, during all of this, they switched me from no diet to clear diet to soft foods to regular foods within like 3 days. Yeah. So after he sends my niece home, because we don't need her anymore, he doesn't have to, make as many trips. I've got a few more days and I'll be coming home.
She gets another blockage.
I wake up with another blockage. So that set me back a week. Come home from the hospital finally, just before, like 4 days before Christmas. And I don't sleep. It hurts. I can't walk. I don't get up and move around. I'm losing more weight because I'm not eating. And I kept telling the doctors, there's something wrong. And I ended up in the emergency room because they told me to go have x-rays and a CT scan done down here so that they could look at it. The emergency room doctor swore up and down I was wasting their time because this was not an emergency. And I'm like, there's something wrong. I just had major surgery here. You're just here for pain meds.
No, you're a drug addict. We're not.
I looked at him and I said, I have Oxycontins at home. Yeah. I don't need your pain medicine. I've got that covered.
We just got done with surgery and she's got all kinds of pain pills at home. It's like, we're not here for your medicine. We're here to have an x-ray.
After I said that, his whole attitude changed. He was really nice, went through everything. They couldn't find anything on any of the x-rays or scans, nothing was broken, because at first that's what I thought was wrong.
Yeah.
So Dr. Freeman, I went in to see him for my 6-week checkup, or 4-week checkup. And I kept telling him, doctor, there's something wrong. I can barely walk. My tailbone hurts. So he sent me in for a CT scan and an MRI.
Yes.
And they found an infection in that area. He's like, I am so sorry. I should have listened to you. And I'm like, so they gave me a really high antibiotic. I was on that for a month. Infection gone. As soon as within a few days after taking the antibiotic, I was up cleaning the house, doing dishes.
Back
I was
to normal.
Starting to eat a little more.
She ordered protein shakes. She started getting her.
Yeah, I ordered
weight back on.
Super Mass, really high protein shake mix. Started drinking that twice a day, once in the morning, once at night.
And you guys can watch all this on our channel. So, you see after if you go back and watch the videos where she's sick, where she had her cancer, we found out, okay, then she's cancer free. We posted that video. Then we started working on the house again. We got the one building completely rebuilt, all the way, new siding, brand new doors, rewired, and then we wound up finishing the fence. And then last summer, I told her, I said, since you're feeling good and you're still cancer free, I said, we'll go ahead and put up a greenhouse, and I'll build you some raised bed gardens on the outside of the greenhouse so we could have all of our fruits and vegetables. And I built her a nice fairy garden, and we wound up last summer, and you could watch all them videos. We did that. We finished fencing in the other half of the 3/4 of an acre around the other side of the building while she's helping me drill holes. Completely rebuilt the siding and painted the outside of the beauty shop. I tore out walls, put in brand new doors on it, completely redid the entire building, put her a couple fairy gardens in. Then she started writing fairy books.
Fairy books. Well,
your first book. Well, explain to them about your books.
I write, it's The Adventures of Layla and Taylor the Fairy, which is
Layla and Taylor the Fairies. Which
is inspired by two of our granddaughters, Layla and Taylor. They're the two main characters of the book. And they go on adventures.
So it's children's books where these fairies go on adventures.
And they're available on Amazon.
And it helps with her cancer.
It does. So it gives me something to do.
You've got 3 books out now?
Yes.
Yeah. And my mom had just passed recently from stage 4 lung cancer that she had fought for 4 years. And I want to be honest with you. I love my mom and I miss her.
We both miss her. But the last book that I wrote...
Mom would not cut
the sugars.
Carbs and sugars, everybody.
The last book
I begged her, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. We both did.
And she'd drink, 3, 4, 5 Cokes a day. And then she'd have sweet tea. And then she'd have ice cream. And she could not give up
the sugar.
So
the last book that I wrote was my Christmas book, their Christmas Adventure, and that book, his mom's favorite holiday was Christmas, so that book was dedicated to her, and she's one of the fairies that is in the book to help save Christmas. My mom's name was
Judy, and she called the fairy in there Judiana, and she included my mom in the book, and then dedicated the book to my mom, which was amazing. So if y'all want to check out her books. You can find them on Amazon.
I'll put the link in the description of the video.
And you can get them in paperback. And believe me, the pictures in them are amazing. Or you can get them on Kindle. Yeah. So the first couple books I think she had dedicated to me. And then the last one was dedicated to my mom. But she's just finished with another one. So I think she's got 4 books out now.
I got one that'll be out. I don't have it completely up on there yet. I gotta do all the final editing to it.
So in the middle of the summer, towards the end, She went in for her 9-month checkup, and I'm gonna let you take over.
Yeah. Granted, during all of this, I'm cancer free, trying to put on weight, so I'm just eating anything and everything I want.
I mean,
Drinking.
even though I'm fasting and trying to watch what I eat, she's eating anything, so I'm trying to feed her whatever
to put weight on.
Eat. But she knows what I went through, and I don't know why I didn't try to help push her more towards. But she was eating everything, just to try to put weight on. She was doing protein shakes,
and it worked. I mean, I put on.
She was
20 pounds,
eating pies. She'd have candy at night. Then
in September, I went in for my 9-month checkup, and all my scans, and I went in for a checkup, and my CEA number come back that it was elevated. So the doctor wanted me to go in for scans because the scan didn't show anything, but the CEA number did. So they wanted me to go in for a PET scan. The PET scan showed that the cancer was back. It was back in the pelvis area, but it was a very small area. 2 centimeters or 2 millimeters?
2 centimeters.
Yeah, it was pretty small. So they went ahead and did another CT scan, another MRI, because they thought they were seeing spots in my lungs and a few spots up around where my old ileostomy was. CT scan and MRI said, nope, just the spot down by the pelvis. So,
but before that, I had talked you into starting fasting.
The fasting and the keto.
So, just to get her started in, now we're gonna go a different route. Try to fight this just like I fought mine. And I talked her into it, and then I had her do the fasting a little bit and the keto, and then we bought. We can't afford a keto meter, and things are $150 because we're both on Social Security disability.
Yeah, because the one we
want one, but so we got the strips, and we kind of pay attention to what's going on with her and me. And then I would test her. I'd be like, okay, you went a week eating clean, you've been fasting, you've been eating clean. I said, so now I just want to prove. I said, you feel good, you look good, your hands don't hurt.
Yeah, it was weird because I had no pain.
I said, okay, now. I said, I want you to go in and just eat whatever you want today. So she had a Coke.
I had a Coke. I ate bread. I ate cereal. I ate just about anything that I could think of that sounded good at that point in time.
To have a break from,
The next day, I was like, oh, pain. So my hands hurt. My tailbone hurt.
Fibromyalgia was back. Her tailbone hurt again. So I did it because I wanted to prove to her how much the fasting and the getting away from carbs and sugar, how it causes inflammation in joints. And so she finally, it woke her up.
Yeah, it dawned on me. So now with the diet, and I talked to my doctor this last visit, I told her, because with starting chemo and everything again, she wanted to do 4 rounds. I'm like, okay, I'm good with that. Then we'll rescan. Dr. Shreba said if it's good enough, we'll probably go in and try and remove it. He thinks what happened is when he was in there doing the high pack, there might have been a liquid pocket that broke open, which caused the cells to grow. But when I was in there, my weight was good. And she's like, and I told her, I said, we've been doing a lot of research. Steve had done it before.
She's on a metabolic.
About the metabolic stuff. I said, and I asked her, I'm like, so
try to help fight her cancer. Yeah.
What is your take on cancer being a metabolic
disease or
over
genetic.
a genetic. And she smiled and she was like, I think it's both. A combination of both, because my genes, family genes, cancer runs really deep in my family.
Yeah.
But I told her that
realize.
I was doing keto carnivore, and she smiled. She was happy.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys.
Sorry, we had a phone call come in, so we put it in airplane mode.
But she was really happy with the keto carnivore diet. You know, doing that, cutting out the carbs, cutting out the sugars.
Yes.
Told her that I was doing fasting before chemo, which really surprised me because this time with chemo, the only anti-nausea drugs I get are the day of chemo, which is what they give you. I have no nausea. I eat just fine after the chemo. So, and I guess in between, I'm still doing intermittent fasting.
Yeah. So she's still doing intermittent fasting
while I'm on the chemo.
Yeah.
Because I'll go
carnivore. We're trying to do everything carnivore.
Yeah.
There's times, because as a new person doing this, it's hard. So I let her have a cheat day like once a week.
And I pay for it.
So I pay for it. She knows she does. But she can tell she feels better right now. She's just about done. You've got one more treatment.
Yep, this coming Friday, and then I'll have all my scans done again to see where I'm at, to see if I can either have surgery or if it's.
But just like Carrie says, it takes a while to go straight carnivore, and it's hard. Me and her still trying to go just straight carnivore. I'm still doing a lot of fasting right now because I just want to get to my weight goal. I've never ever got it back to how big I was before, but I want to get back down to probably right around 200. So I've been pretty strict on trying to do a whole lot of fasting in these last few months. And just because of her journey, it makes it easier for her, if I'm going along with her trying to do this and showing her how I did it and trying to help guide her in a way. So we just wanted to get on and let y'all know.
Our journey is with everything.
Yeah. Thank all of our subscribers, and sorry it's been a while, man. My mom passed away, and I thought about quitting YouTube for a while, and then I had to. I mean, I was completely, utterly lost when my mom passed.
It didn't help that as you were going through with everything with your mom, you left for a weekend, and I show up at Davenport, you get the feeling something's wrong, but I'm just not saying it. And then when you come home, I have to tell you, I knew for 2 days before you did that the cancer was bad.
I went out of town to help take care of my mom. I was going down on the weekends every once in a while to stay the night and watch movies with her and just to be there for her, because we all knew that she had decided to stop chemo and go into hospice, which was hard on all of us kids. And then, my sister needed help. She had to have a fence built at her house because her old fence was falling over. So I went down there for a weekend, spent the day, helped her build a brand new fence, and that video's on our channel. And then went and spent the weekend with Mom, and that didn't turn out very good. My mom got so bad the cancer had went into her brain, and she started getting to the point where sometimes she would forget who you were. She'd get to a phone and call the police and say, there's people here kidnapping me, trying to hold me hostage, and it's her own son. And that's the hardest thing. The part about losing somebody and having to go through the part with the cancer in the brain and them not recognizing you, and it's my mom, and her telling me to get out of my house. I don't know who you are, and having to leave really just put me through
It puts you through a lot.
and I just had to stop with the YouTube videos for a while.
And then I, slam you with, oh yeah, by the way, my cancer's
Her
back.
cancer's back, so.
So,
And then a month later, my mom's brother passed, and it had to do, he just decided he was done. I love him to death, but it happened. He couldn't be at my mom's funeral. He was a 40-year military veteran, a guy that was just amazing. Did 2 tours in Vietnam. One of the most nicest guys you'd ever meet. His wife was sick and in the hospital, and he couldn't be at mom's funeral. And then a month to the day, he decided to just check out, and I'm not going to say much to that because that's my uncle and his family, and I have to respect them. But that again was hard on me because every day I'm trying to find some kind of a sign why I myself should stay here. She's fighting with my depression right now and trying to keep me on this side. And, I'm just trying to find, I'm the last of that generation of the Gen X where there was no smartphones, no computers. It was families sticking together, loving family get-togethers. And there's none of that. Our world has turned upside down. It's not a world that I want to be a part of and I want to live in. But then I've got so many grandkids that love me and look up to me. And I've got, their crazy grandpa that builds motorcycles and choppers. And, they come out for Memorial Day weekend and I set up all the band equipment out back and we jam out and everybody gets to sing on the microphone. And
they had a blast.
Play, water balloon fights and ride around town on the 4-wheelers and go to the ice cream store because it's pretty much Mayberry is where we live.
Yeah.
And then now we have to sell the house, lose the house to go back home. So I need her back home closer to her kids in case this cancer gets worse. And we're not, I need to have her closer to her kids. So I know moving here was our dream to just live away from
everybody.
Big city life, the gangs, the shootings, the drug overdoses. I wanted to go back home to a quiet place. I was raised on a farm in a rural community and, back then fishing and outside riding your bicycles, playing with your friends. I needed the quietness and the solace of peace and quiet and, not the city life. Because coming from, Colorado Springs and the amount of, and Denver and Colorado Springs,
chaos.
And then back to Davenport, Iowa, which is like little Chicago. And I just couldn't take the city life of ambulances and police and cars flying by your house at 100 mile an hour and police chasing them and shootouts and people climbing in your cars every other day and rummaging through your cars. Yes. I was like, I'm done. I can't handle this no more. I want to move somewhere that's peaceful and quiet. And then as soon as we get our dream home and we're fixing it up, she gets struck with cancer. And then we go through all that, and I'm trying to help her and still fixing up this property. We just got done putting in a brand new central air unit, a brand new furnace, 10-year warranty on everything. And then, bam, hit with cancer again. Getting ready to put in a new bathroom, and I think we're just going to paint the inside of the house and put it on the market come spring and try to move back to the Quad Cities. So,
Trust me, I'm very reluctant about it because I have a garden out back.
yeah.
I like my garden. I did a lot of canning this summer in between everything.
Yeah, I got a brother. My brother wants us to move in with him, so that's a possibility that three of us might get a house together. But we have a Rottweiler and a German Shepherd, and they love their Uncle Joe. So my brother ain't got no animals. He's a pool hustler and works for John Deere, painting John Deere parts and tractors and stuff. So thinking I can make enough off this property to pretty much come close to paying a house off down there. I've got about 95,000 in this house. Hopefully we can get anywhere from 125 to 130. Even that's a pretty nice chunk of money to put down on another house. So don't want to keep you guys here all day and all night, but that's where Nitro and Brat's at right now.
And that was our cancer journey.
That was our cancer journey. Both of our cancer journeys. So to Carrie and Ronnie, so Ronnie's documentary.
He talks about Jeff a lot.
Yeah.
So
Carrie's doing, it's a home.
What's up?
He's doing a documentary. I'm just going to get up and try to find it. And I want to do a shout out for Carrie and then Ronnie both. But we kind of did an update so you guys could hear about our cancer journey and how we battled cancer through Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and the cancer code through Dr. Jason Fong, and how we're trying to help prove to doctors that they've been using chemotherapy for the last almost 100 years to fight cancer and say it's a genetic disease, where they don't want to stop doing it because to stop doing your chemo means they don't make no money. When you can actually cure cancer yourself because it's a metabolic disease. Cancer cannot live on glutamine and glucose. So if you cut out your sugar and your carb intake, and you exercise and you do a lot of fasting and you completely cut out the carbs and sugars, cancer cannot survive. You can cure yourself. Metabolic therapy, it involves a lot of like getting vitamin C infusions. If you can get a hyperbaric chamber and get in and do some oxygen stuff. And I've heard of cold water baths that also help. You jump in a cold water bath for just a few minutes and then get out. That also helps. There's so many different things that help with cancer. So
Carrie's YouTube channel is Homestead How.
So Homestead How.
And the movie that they're doing is Healing Humanity movie for cancer.
Yeah, it is. So Carrie's doing a documentary, and it's Healing Humanity. So if you go to Carrie's channel, which is Homestead How?
Homestead How.
Yeah, Homestead How. And join his channel. You can sign a petition. Get in there, sign a petition for him, help him get 1 million signatures to try to get these doctors to start understanding cancer is not a genetic disease. It's a metabolic disease. It's caused by the foods that you eat, people. and you can cure yourself. They don't want people to know that they can cure themselves because there's no money to be made off curing yourself.
Nope.
So
he also does a lot and talks a lot about the carnivore diet, and he has Dr. Seafried on there quite a bit.
Yeah. I've been watching Dr. Seafried since 2015, 16. I've convinced some of my friends, and they've lost weight and done a lot of stuff. And then, Dr. Jason Fong, man, I tell you what, another doctor.
Another good one is Miriam Colomane.
Yeah, show him the book.
This is her book, and this is for the Keto for Cancer. So this is what I started with.
Yeah.
Is this information.
And then I have the cancer code from Dr. Jason Fong. And I have the obesity code from Dr. Jason Fong. So
I want to get Dr. Seafried's book, but it's expensive.
It's expensive. Yeah, it's like $112, which is cheap. But, for a couple of people that are on disability, $112 is groceries for the month. Yeah. So, but anyway, like I said, please go to my wife's Amazon children books. The Adventures of Layla and Taylor the Fairies. There's 3 books out now with another one on the way.
It'll be out by the 25th.
She'll be about by the 25th of this month. So
just a time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. So anyway, we wanted to say much love to all of our subscribers. We're sorry. It's been a rough couple months, everybody. I've been doing my regular Fright Night videos. A lot of you don't know. Me and Brat ran Nitro and Brat's Paranormal Investigations for 10 years. So we were part of the church in the paranormal group in Colorado and Iowa. So yeah, the 2 states of Colorado and Iowa. So if people had problems, we were on the emergency call list. If you go over Nitro and Brat's Paranormal Investigations, we have tons of videos over there. I got out of it because I had a very bad attachment that attacked me from an investigation where my eyes bled for 2 days. And then not long after that is when I got my cancer. And I don't know if that attachment had something to do with my sickness or not. I've kind of walked away from all the paranormal stuff. We had our pastor here in a little small town of Missouri reached out to us because someone that belonged to the church new in town said they had demons in their house. But
that was about the time I got sick. So.
Yeah. And I wasn't going to go down there and do the investigation because I didn't need another attachment. I kind of told our pastor what he needed to do. And whether he did it or not, I don't know.
Probably not.
Probably not. So anyway, we love you guys. And you want to show them your book? The last one she had just finished. It's got my mom on it. It's right here. Mommy, it's right here in my cabinet, unless you got another one.
One of the last one. I don't have the middle one. I need to get a copy of that one.
Yeah. She'll show you guys her books. They're children's books, but they're absolutely. So hand me the first one. So this is the first one, The Adventures of Layla and Taylor the Fairies. And some of the graphics in it, let's see if I can find. It's like, the graphics are AI generated. So if you can see, that's a chapter about where a unicorn comes in. That's the first book. And this is the second book, The Adventures of Layla and Taylor, or the third one. From the Enchanted Forest. In the back where she's got it, where it's dedicated to my mom. Can't see so without me being able to see it. So everybody, that's my mom down here in the corner.
And then that's Fairy Judiana.
And that's her as the fairy that's in the book. And then there's the dedication. So, like I said, these are all children's books. You guys are welcome to go buy them. And please leave a review if you do. I mean, they're excellent books, man. I sat here one night and we talked about this, and I told her, I said, it's because she's a Gemini and as far out she is in Floki world. I told her she should start writing books about fairies. And then I even told her, I said, you know, because everything could be a different adventure. You got Valentine's Day, you got Halloween, you got Christmas. And you can always, you know, everything could be a different adventure. So
they go on some pretty fun adventures.
Yeah, and the truth is, all these books have every one of our grandkids
in them. Yeah, there's some part in there. I've been thinking on a one where it will be just our 4 grandsons. So and the adventures that I want to kind of follow the crazy Goonies type adventures. So I'm still in the works on trying to get all that one kind of put out there to see.
Yeah, we want her. I need her to write a book that's big enough to where, you know, maybe Netflix would buy it. But The Adventures of Layla and Taylor the Fairies, there's enough of these stories. I think that it would be a really good Netflix series. I really do. That's just me talking. All right, everybody. My dogs are bothering me. They want to go out. I got the German Shepherd over here. She's crying at me. The Rottweiler's in front of me. He's looking at me like, Dad, I need to go outside.
And he just wipes slobber all over me.
So, much love to everybody. And we'll talk to y'all on the next one.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.